Lovely and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And Jacques Nienaber has just announced his team to take on Australia in the second test of the overseas leg of the Rugby Championship, making just 2 changes to his lineup. Despite losing against Australia and a lot of calls to try and tweak the team a bit and maybe do a bit of rotation, which I think we all thought was probably going to be the case, Jacques Nienaber has actually gone with continuity and has just named the 2 changes. NYAKANE is back. He'll also be starting at loose head, which is quite an interesting change. POLLARD survives the cut, and the only other change there is an injury force change, which is Marvin Orie coming into the starting lineup. Before we look at the lineup itself and what it sort of might mean for the team and whether it's the right or the wrong thing to do, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. So we spoke about quite a lot last night in terms of will there be changes, and not just in terms of the bad performance of last weekend, even if it was a bad performance, whether we actually think it's a bad performance or not, but in terms of continuity versus rotation, using your squad, using the squad depth, establishing squad depth, and not risking potential injuries going into 2 back-to-back tests against the All Blacks after 2 back-to-back tests against Australia. But that doesn't seem to be much of a factor given the fact that we have named almost an identical side with just the 2 changes. So in terms of the team, this is how we will line up for this weekend. So in the front there, NYAKANE will start at loose head. He came off the bench to very good effect at loose head during the Lions tour. He's been mainly operating as a tight head for the Springboks over the last couple of years, but seems to have made that transition back to a loose head with ease, to be honest. And I think that it's something that I was saying last week when he was announced the 23, that unless it was an injury, unless it was a knock, surely he is someone that does make our best 23. Surely he is someone that does need to be involved when we take on the All Blacks, given the sort of form. And the good news is it does look like that will be the case, given the fact that he has come straight back into the side and will start. Stephen Kitshoff therefore drops to the bench, and there'll be no Oxen Chair this weekend, which I think is a little bit harsh, given the fact that I reckon he was probably the better player between the two loose heads last week. When he did come on, he did seem to make a reasonable difference, apart from maybe that last round where he was a little under pressure, but definitely in the sort of 2 preceding scrums before that, scrummed very, very well. But it will be NYAKANE next to Bongi Manambi. Francois Herbert keeps his place. Ibn Etzebeth has a new lock partner. Marvin Orie comes into Lourdes Diaga, who did go off with a bit of an injury last weekend. Hopefully nothing too serious. We'll get an injury update from Jacques Nienaber quite soon. But Ibn Etzebeth and Marvin Orie will be the 2 locks. Steer Cleese will continue to captain the side as per usual. Franco Mostert continues, and the number 7 jumper, Dwayne Vermeulen, will get another start at 8th man. The backline is completely unchanged. It's Factor Clark, Andre Pollard, who will be under a lot of pressure this weekend, because on the back of a poor kicking performance, if he has another performance this weekend, it suddenly raises a lot of questions about the viability of playing a 6-2 split with Damian Willemse as your reserve kicking option going into New Zealand, because we can't afford to be losing, leaving 10 points out against New Zealand. So we definitely need Andre Pollard to try and bounce back this weekend. A lot of talks that there might have been a bit of rotation there, which I think there probably should have been. I think whether you wanted to try and maybe rest Damon Delindi and play Pollard at 12 or give another fly half a go in the number 10 jumper, I did think that there probably should have been a bit of rotation there, but they're sticking with their guns. And look, there's pros and cons for each. At the end of the day, somebody has a bad game, you drop them, that can dent confidence. You don't want to try and dent someone's confidence going into New Zealand. At the end, but on the other side of the coin, if you do play badly and you don't necessarily have to pay for it, and you sort of continue to back someone, maybe they don't manage to find themselves out of form, do you then look back and say that we played someone who wasn't in the best form for too many games and maybe sort of cost points and stuff like that? So there's always sort of 2 sides to every sort of coin. So they have stuck with Pollard, who'll need to put in a good shift, and hopefully he will bounce back. He's got the pedigree. We know he's got the pedigree to bounce back. We know that he's not a bad player, and he's just maybe not kicking particularly well, but it is something he will have to sort out, because we've seen from Damian Willemse that he's also not the most reliable goal kicker. So between the 2, they have hopefully spent a lot of time this week sorting it out, and hopefully we will see a bit of a more refined performance this weekend. Makazole Mapimpi continues the number 11. The centre combination of Damon Delindi and Lukhanyo who were very, very quiet last weekend, will be back once again. I think that was probably one of the worst games we've seen Lukhanyo play almost since pulling on his Springbok jersey after a phenomenal Lions series and a really good Argentina game. So hopefully he can try and bounce back and get back to the sort of the form that had these 2 being tasked as the 2 current best in centre combination in the world. Spoon, of course, he keeps his number 14, and Willie Leroux under a lot of pressure at the moment from the general public. A lot of people calling for him to be dropped. He is kept in the side at number 15. Got a yellow card last weekend. Him and Siaklis were both sent off, so they'll be trying to sort of fix the discipline issues there. And then on the bench, we're going with a 6-2 split. We have got the 3 loose forwards coming on, which I quite enjoyed last weekend. So the bench will be Malcolm Marx, who is probably the best player in the Springbok team, despite only coming on in the second half. Stephen Kitsoff and Vincent Koch. Then it's Marco van Staden, Kwagga Smith, and Jasper Wiese as the 3 loose forwards, with Franco Mossad obviously being able to switch back to lock. Herschel Jantjies, Damian Willemse are the 2 backline replacements. So a lot of continuity with the side, a lot of pressure on the side though, because this side in the Rugby Championship, at least, if obviously bounced back very well against the British and Irish Lions in those 2 tests. But in the Rugby Championship, this side failed to get a bonus point against Argentina and then lost to Australia, whereas the more rotated side only played the 1 Rugby Championship game and did manage to get a bonus point victory over Argentina. So if this side loses again this weekend, there's going to be quite a lot of pressure building in terms of what's the point of having such a big squad if you're not going to back the other players? We have taken about 40 players over there. And a lot of players haven't really had much of an opportunity. And obviously, we're not saying that you need to give caps out for free. But if your first team continues to struggle, and I'll say continue to struggle just in terms of not getting the bonus point, maybe not having the best performance against Argentina, then coming short against Australia. If they were to come up short again this weekend, then they start sort of growing a bit of pressure in terms of, are these the right 15 players to take on the All Blacks? Do we need to try and give somebody else a chance? Are there players who are knocking the door down saying that if you just back me, if you trust me, I can do the job? So hopefully this team backs back. Obviously, we're fully behind them. I think it's definitely got the quality to beat Australia. It had the quality to beat Australia last weekend if we had just nailed half the amount of kicks that we missed. So it's definitely got the pedigree. It's definitely got the class. What will be interesting is in terms of how we negotiated the officiating. We saw a lot of lazy running from Australia, which sort of blocked our kick chase, which sort of nullified that a little bit. Couple of sort of grass tackles which were halting momentum. But at the end of the day, we did only concede 1 try. We did score 3. So the rolling maul was operating quite well. We've got everything we need to get past Australia. We've got everything we need to get past Australia with the bonus point if we do pitch up, and defensively our discipline is much better. It's just a case of, can we just put everything together on the day? At the end of the day, when the Springboks are backed up, when they're under a lot of pressure, that's when they play their best rugby. So back the side to bounce back. I reckon we will. I think we will bounce back in probably hopefully quite spectacular fashion. But it will obviously still be quite a tough test. We still don't have a particularly good record against Australia, who will be brimming with confidence on the back of their victory over us. Let me know what you think of the team down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel as well. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.